In November 2019, 16 St. Ben students traveled to the country of Belize for 2 weeks. According to the University of Washington, stroke is the third leading cause of death in Belize. A stroke is a medical emergency in which a clot prevents adequate blood flow to the brain. We chose to focus on stroke education to provide the community with examples of how to decrease their risk for hypertension. We promoted public health through working in the schools and assessing blood pressures and blood sugars at the local market and the community center for elders. Throughout the trip, we learned about the Belizean culture through traditional foods, attending Garifuna festivals with dancing and drumming, and immersing ourselves in the community.
During the first week, we visited the local school in San Pedro, Colombia. We worked with students in standards 4 through 6. Throughout the day, students learned about different health topics. Our group focused on stroke. We also taught students ways to identify stroke by using the acronym FAST. This is a tool to identify stroke. Community members can look for changes in face, arms, and speech, and then act in a timely manner to seek medical help. We met with a local community member, Noemi Romero, to discuss how stroke has affected her life. We asked if she knew anyone who has experienced a stroke before.
I have one of my elder brothers who had a stroke. Now we're seeing it happening in the community. He went until the following day to get service, but his face completely went to a side. He lost his speech for a while. He was totally couldn't understand what he was saying.
Noemi and her husband Barry are hoping to help promote a healthy lifestyle in their community by building greenhouses to help provide healthy food options to the students and their families. We had the opportunity to help build the greenhouses. The greenhouses provide fruits and vegetables that are used to create a variety in the community's diet in hopes to decrease the risk of hypertension in the community. By decreasing the risk for hypertension, the risk for stroke is also decreased. According to Betchel 2019, researchers found that an intake of whole grains, vegetables, fruits, meats, and eggs lower the risk of stroke. Students were able to provide ways to reduce the risk of stroke. Students shared some of their favorite healthy foods.
Cabbage, orange, papaya, coconut, watermelon.
According to Chuli 2016, prolonged exercise decreases blood pressure. With physical activity being a major modifiable risk factor for stroke, having the students state ways to be active can help them identify ways to decrease their risk for stroke. Students also shared their favorite ways to exercise.
Soccer, pull-ups, volleyball, basketball, climbing.
By promoting public health in the community, we took blood pressures and blood sugars in the local market and the community center for elders. Belize has a high prevalence of stroke and hypertension. 60 people were screened for high blood pressure. 47% of people were identified with some form of hypertension. If we identified someone with an elevated blood pressure or high blood sugar, we referred them to the local hospital. We had the opportunity to tour the hospital and meet with a nurse midwife, Del Sistine. The nurse midwife described what hypertension and stroke normally looks like in the community.
We have a large hypertensive population. Basically, those patients will be put on hypertensive medication, and then they will be given health education on diet, exercise, and basically medication compliance. The patient will basically come into our unit, will be evaluated and assessed by the doctor. Basically, they will do labs. There's no CT scan here, so we can't do those type of tests.
Our goal for this trip was to promote health and well-being in the community. Through the people we interacted with, we learned and experienced so much of the Belizean culture. We learned how to make chocolate, traveled to a Mayan ruin site, Lubantoon, made tortillas, drummed and danced with the people of the Garifuna culture, attended the local Battle of the Drums, celebrated Settlement Day, attended Culture Day at the school, made traditional foods, and interacted with community members.
During our trip, we provided the community with resources to identify their current stroke risk through blood pressure screenings, education on ways to decrease hypertension risk through diet and exercise, and building greenhouses to grow nutritious foods. Throughout our time, we learned an incredible amount about the Belizean people and their rich culture.